either younger than us or, passed and retired. So why not? I want to challenge myself. The best always looking to fight the best and challenge themselves, and why not, challenge.
Terence Crawford can't beat him, right? This is a money grab for Terence Crawford. It's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy.
But if you study Floyd closely, like I have, you will notice that he never wastes any steps while he's in the ring.
In a moment that shook the boxing world, Terence Crawford reportedly accepted Floyd Mayweather's fight offer during a live interview with Stephen A. Smith. Speaking with his trademark calm confidence, Crawford explained that for him, boxing has always been about testing limits and taking on challenges, no matter how daunting they appear. He stressed that the best should always fight the best, and in his eyes, there's no greater stage to prove that than against a legend like Mayweather. Crawford framed the potential showdown not just as another bout, but as an opportunity to push beyond expectations, cement his legacy, and remind the world why he belongs among the sport's all-time greats.
Businessman, because this is Terrence the businessman talking, right? They got to pay the cheddar to make it better, right?
For sure, for sure. All money ain't good money, so you got to know that.
Okay, fair enough. I hate to use the word easy, but at times it did feel like you were, having a really easy time out there. Were you expecting it to play out that way?
Listen, it's never easy,
Stephen A. Smith has never been shy about voicing his opinions on sports, and boxing is no exception. When he praises Terence Crawford for becoming a champion in 4 different weight divisions, it carries more weight than a casual compliment. It is a recognition and accomplishment that is exceedingly rare in modern boxing. In today's landscape, where many fighters hesitate to jump across divisions due to the risks involved, Crawford's ability to rise and dominate at 4 different weights puts him in a class of his own. Stephen A. emphasizes that such versatility and consistent excellence mark Crawford as one of the all-time pound-for-pound greats. For him, it's not just about physical adaptability, but also a testament to Crawford's technical mastery, mental toughness, and relentless drive to test himself against tougher and tougher opposition.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab. He used his distance. He had poise in the ring. He wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept his different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, brilliant, masterful fight on Terence Crawford's part.
Roy Jones Jr., a legend who understands better than most what it takes to conquer multiple divisions, has spoken glowingly of Terence Crawford's brilliance in the ring. Reflecting on Crawford's fight with Canelo Alvarez, Jones noted how Crawford was able to draw from the arsenals of Floyd Mayweather and Erislandy Lara, 2 fighters who had previously given Canelo major problems. For Jones, this highlighted Crawford's rare gift, not just technical skill, but the ability to study, absorb, and then seamlessly apply the most effective strategies against elite opponents. What impressed Jones most was that Crawford didn't merely copy those tactics. He adapted them into his own rhythm, refining them in ways that made them even more effective in real time. That level of adaptability, Jones argued, is what sets Crawford apart from so many fighters who rely on a single style and falter when tested at the highest level.
As Canelo Alvarez has been a great fighter his whole career, people like Erislandy Lara gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. People like Floyd Mayweather also gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. But Bud is more fierce, more fearsome, and more angrier and more meaner than both of those guys. So if they showed you the blueprint, Bud gonna go out there, take that blueprint, and do even more with it, which is what Bud did. So it was never a question in my mind whether Bud really was going to outbox me, just if he could take the punch. And right away he showed, bam, he could take the punch. So I knew from that point, if he just slow him down, which he did, he'd be okay. Then late in the fight, what other people still didn't see, Late in the fight, Bud started hitting Canelo's body. One of those body shots, I think about the 7th or 8th round,
Right.
hurt Canelo. I was like, whoa. Bud hit him in the
Yeah.
right spot then, and he got Canelo's respect with that too. So Bud fought a very, very awesome fight, fought a beautiful fight, very tactical.
Very controlled.
Yes, it was a beautiful fight for boxing.
It was a beautiful fight. You know, Bud got hit with some shots.
He did. He did.
He got hit with some single shots going out. You know, he's going out, and you know Canelo, if he has you trapped in the corner or along the ropes, it's typically 1 to 2 big shots. You know that if you've watched him.
Yep.
So you could tell Crawford, as he was going out, he knew the one shot was coming, and several times it landed. He even got hit with a 2-piece. I don't remember what round it was, uppercut right hand that Crawford took well. So when you started seeing him absorb the shots, if you're Team Crawford, you don't want him to take that shot. But if you started seeing that, now you know that, okay. And I think that's what gave Crawford the green light to stay there a little bit longer.
He smiled about it.
He smiled about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that smile can be a lie. And sometimes that smile can mean what I think it meant for Crawford, which is, oh, that's not as bad as I thought it was.
The idea of Terence Crawford stepping into the ring with Floyd Mayweather, even in an exhibition, has ignited passionate debate across the boxing world. For some critics, the move risks diluting Crawford's carefully built legacy. They argue that after cementing his place in history with landmark victories, dismantling Errol Spence in dominant fashion, and outclassing Canelo Alvarez, Crawford should be looking to further that legacy through meaningful competition, not ventures that echo Mayweather's recent string of money-driven exhibitions. From this perspective, a Mayweather matchup might appear less like a pursuit of greatness and more like a chase for financial reward, which could cast doubt on Crawford's commitment to the sport's highest ideals. Yet others see it very differently. They contend that Crawford's legacy is already bulletproof. He is a multi-division champion, an undisputed pound-for-pound king, and one of the most versatile fighters of his era. For them, an exhibition with Mayweather is not a detour, but an opportunity, another fascinating chapter in his career that would blend spectacle with prestige. Regardless of whether it's seen as a pure competition or as a blockbuster event, the prospect of Crawford and Mayweather sharing the ring carries a magnetic intrigue that few fights in boxing history could rival.
Terence Crawford. It's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy. This is what was being said, right? This is what people perceived. Terence Crawford was just attempting to cash out.
When fans place Floyd Mayweather's career side by side with Terence Crawford's, the discussion quickly turns layered and contentious. Mayweather's resume is stacked with victories over some of the biggest names in boxing history, Oscar de la Hoya, Canelo Alvarez, and Manny Pacquiao among them. Yet critics argue that timing played a huge role in how those fights unfolded. For example, Canelo was still young and not yet at his peak when he stepped into the ring with Mayweather, and Pacquiao entered their long-awaited 2015 clash while nursing an injury. Adding to the controversy is Floyd's reluctance to grant rematches, particularly with Pacquiao, which left some fans questioning whether unfinished business remained at Crawford's record. On the other hand, tells a different story. His dominance has come against fighters widely considered to be in their prime when they faced him, from dismantling Errol Spence to neutralizing other top-level threats across multiple divisions. Crawford has made statements against opponents at the height of their powers. This contrast fuels an ongoing debate. Was Mayweather's perfect record more the product of unmatched skill and defense, or did carefully calculated matchmaking give him an advantage? Meanwhile, Crawford's reign is praised for showcasing dominance without the same questions of timing, making the comparison between the two both fascinating and divisive.
Floyd Mayweather is still greater than Terence Crawford. We need to really talk about this now. A lot of you guys are putting Crawford a bit too high. If you want to say Crawford could beat Floyd, I'm more open to that conversation, but when you're lining up the careers, I'm going to say Floyd every time. While they're both 5-division, Bud has become 3-time undisputed, but he's only fought 10 world champions to Floyd's 25 world champions. You can't take away the 5-division, 3-time undisputed. In terms of accolades, yeah, he probably gets the nod over Floyd. I say their accolades are about relative, considering Floyd Mayweather won Fighter of the Decade as well. But when you get to the resumes, Pacquiao, Oscar, Canelo, Cotto, Mosley, Castillo, Marquez, Zab, Gotti, Hatton, and Corley. It's probably way more people that this guy just didn't name. And then when you get to Bud's resume, not saying it's just bad, but only names that's really worth mentioning is going to be Spence and Canelo. It's not a knock on Bud. Bud was not able to make those fights early on in his career. But I got to tell you guys what it is. Bud's resume just doesn't line up with Floyd's. Take their top 20 wins. Bud don't even got 20 wins to really sit here and name. Floyd got a good 20-something plus. Bud probably got about 10 wins that we could really sit here and name. Floyd's still greater than Bud in my opinion.
Tony Jeff, a respected voice in boxing analysis, has often highlighted that Floyd Mayweather's greatest strength was not limited to his lightning speed or impenetrable defense. It was his mindset. Jeff explains that Mayweather's unshakable belief in himself was the intangible quality that consistently separated him from the rest. No matter the opponent or the circumstances, Floyd stepped into the ring convinced he would win, and that confidence alone gave him a psychological advantage before the first bell even rang. What truly made him dangerous, Jeff continues, was his ability to combine that self-belief with elite ring intelligence. Mayweather could read opponents in real time, adapt to any style within seconds, and maintain complete composure even under the heaviest pressure. While many fighters lean primarily on physical gifts, Floyd's mix of mental sharpness and technical precision created a package that looked almost untouchable. It's this unique blend, Jeff argues, that explains why Mayweather walked away from the sport with an unblemished record and a reputation as one of the most disciplined and mentally strong fighters boxing has ever seen.
Strong mindset, they're really confident, they really believe in themselves, but you need more than that mindset. You need to have the full package of everything that I'm talking about, what Floyd has got.
Fighters should only want to get better. The more you win, the more you should work hard. If you think about losing, you're going to lose. All I ever thought about was winning. So that's all I know.
Floyd would visualize his success before he even stepped into the ring. There was no alternative to him but winning. And this mindset isn't just for boxing, it's for all walks of life. And I've actually done a full video talking about how I used this mindset of visualization to win my Olympic medal. And it was an absolute game changer. Now, Floyd used to use this mindset to ease the pressure that he put himself under. And he made himself think like, I'm not under any pressure right now, where he was under immense pressure.
Pressure either makes you or break you. Well, you see where I'm at, so it's obvious that I'm the type of athlete or I'm the type of entertainer that can deal with pressure. There's never no pressure.
Now, if you watch his fight in 2013, when he fought Canelo Alvarez, Canelo came in a young, strong, undefeated fighter, but by round 2, Floyd kind of had him figured out. He was reading Canelo's jab. He would slip outside and then come back with a clean counter punch, then move his feet and get out of the way. He basically had the full fight under control, and he was controlling the full rhythm of the fight. He was forcing Canelo to fight at his pace. And this is what he would do in all of his fights. He would get his opponent to do what he wanted them to do without their opponent even realizing it, which is what we call boxing IQ. Now, even though I'm not a fan of Floyd Mayweather personally, because of the time when I did meet him, what he said to me made me just feel like this guy is a piece of shit.
The boxing world thrives on speculation, and one matchup that has recently captured fans' imaginations is Terence Crawford against David Benavidez. On paper, it's the kind of fight that checks every box for drama and legacy. Benavidez brings a rare blend of size, power, and relentless forward pressure, qualities that could force Crawford into the most difficult test of his career. Crawford, known for his versatility, sharp counterpunching, and ring IQ, will be tasked with solving a puzzle few have managed to crack: how to tame Benavidez's aggression without being overwhelmed by it. Although no official announcement has been made, the idea alone has sparked heated debate. Supporters view it as a kind of high-stakes matchup that defines eras and elevates careers. Unlike crossover exhibitions that lean on spectacle and celebrity appeal, Crawford versus Benavidez would pit skill against size, precision against raw force. For many, it represents a type of risk boxing desperately needs. A fight where both men could lose, but in the process, the sport itself gains a defining moment.
Not me, but shocked the world. This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, what he took on defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had one fight at 154 last August. against Israel Madrimov, Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning, at the time, super middleweight world champion, undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handily and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Bud Crawford. And that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC super middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight, 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. He stands 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7", with a 70-inch arm reach, started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name at 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andrade, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to 182, maybe 185 max, right? He's not a big guy, right?
The debate over Floyd Mayweather and Terence Crawford has no simple answer, and perhaps that's what makes it so compelling. Both men reign supreme in their respective eras, taking on the best opponent available and producing dominant victories. Mayweather's flawless record and defensive genius turned him into a symbol of technical perfection, while Crawford's willingness to climb weight classes and continue dismantling elite competition highlights his rare adaptability and fearlessness. What complicates any direct comparison is the difference in eras, opponents, and circumstances. Mayweather's career was defined by careful planning and longevity, whereas Crawford's run has been about seizing every challenge in front of him with ruthless efficiency. To declare one definitively greater than the other may miss the larger point. Together, they embody two sides of boxing greatness. Mayweather represents the art of mastery and control, while Crawford represents the spirit of risk and dominance across divisions. In their own ways, both set the standard for excellence, and both will remain benchmarks for greatness long after their final fights.
Oh my goodness, I said that was going to happen. If Crawford was to win, we're going to be seeing a lot of these debates on whether or not Floyd Mayweather or Terence Crawford is going to be better. Now, this is going to be a debate for a long, long time. I'm talking about one of those debates like LeBron versus MJ, Messi versus Ronaldo. It's one of those. And the thing is, I can get behind it. Let me go ahead and say this. When it comes to resume, I do think we give Floyd Mayweather the edge. I mean, he beat a bunch of champions. He reigned for a long time. While Crawford, his resume is heavily criticized, and he's just not getting, his kind of respect for beating Errol Spence and Canelo Alvarez. But if we're talking strictly off of skills, this is where things get really, really tough to talk about. I think a fair assessment of this matchup would be Floyd Mayweather wins from 135 and 140, while Crawford wins from 147 to 154. And I say that because I feel like Floyd's style changed once he got to welterweight. He became a more defensive fighter, and he just wasn't as much focused on offense. And knowing this, I feel like Crawford would have had a much better chance of handling him. And we all know, Crawford was an absolute monster at welterweight. But hey, man, like I said, this is going to be a debate for a very long time. And I can't wait to hear all the talk about it. But I'm curious on your thoughts. Who do you think wins in the fight, Floyd or Terence Crawford? Let's talk about it, and follow me for more boxing talk.
Because you got to remember, Canelo is the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, who else I'm going to fight? You beat the shark, you beat the wolf. Right. Damn. Like, you know what I mean? Ain't no more ops out there. It's ops out there, but who gonna make them really want to get up? That's the
shit got to make sense. Like you said, you beat a shark, and then you beat a wolf.
Yeah.
But there's the monster.
Yeah, there is, but that's like a real monster.
Bro, that's to me it don't make sense. But that's
really
what
a monster.
Yo, is that proof? All right, we got the legendary Pape in the building. Legend. But what makes sense? Like, what makes the most sense? I know you said get a line of suits, Brooks Brothers.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Your line of suits get your money, man. They go ahead and get the easy money, man. You ain't got to sweat no more.
What's up,
Not saying you ain't got to work, you ain't got to sweat. He's paved a career where he could sit down at a table and get this money. He could come out with a Terence Crawford series now, just whatever, doing whatever he like to do. People gonna watch it. Nobody. The fighting part, people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. A lot of times fighters really don't be interested in certain fights. It's because when a guy see himself up here and then is fighting a guy down here, it don't interest him. So therefore, when he train, he not gonna really train. He gonna train, but he not gonna train. He not gonna listen. He gonna feel like his coach taking it too serious, and he's like, man, this ain't even that.